Yeah, unlike other people, we're still not obeying in advance. The stake starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is my co-founder and fellow co-host, Michelle Kinney. And man, a lot has happened since we were all together last 2 weeks ago. It feels like, I mean,
what a
we
year
had,
this month has been. It's only been, today is December 5th. It has been 1 month since the election.
yeah,
That's it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But you know what? We have to be prepared. We have to it's not like we didn't know that it was going to be like this. Of course we did. We were hoping, that's why we were trying to make sure it didn't end up like this, but here we are. And at least it's the holiday season, and there's that, which makes me very happy. Everyone knows that I'm like the queen of Christmas. That's not Mariah. Michelle's got her tree in the background. My leg lamp is out
before Thanksgiving.
I know you did. You did. I was making fun of you schlepping up the streets of New York City with it.
Listen, yeah, because we have to, for people who maybe don't know, I live in Manhattan, and there's not really a lot of room for Christmas tree storage. And we used to get a real tree every year, but then it just became like such a hassle, and they're like so expensive, and then it's a fire hazard, the whole thing. So anyways, we got a fake one during the pandemic that is 9 feet tall.
Yeah, it's great. It's
awesome. Great, but we have to store it 4 blocks away.
Yeah. So it's a routine, but worth it. It's the holly jolly Christmas time, at least that we can enjoy it for now. We have to find joy in the little things while we still can.
Amen, sister.
Why is that? Well, because, you know, all hell's breaking loose in Washington and in politics. Shocker. Donald Trump has been revealing his picks for his cabinet over the last few weeks, and it has been the shit show that we expected it to be. And we got rid of one. At least Matt Gaetz is out of the picture. However,
it's a low-ass bar.
I know. The bar is low. The bar is low. But this Pete Hegseth nomination has really blown up since the last time we were all together. A lot. I don't know how this guy's still in the running, but Kara Swisher made a really good point earlier today and said that he's going full on Brett Kavanaugh here.
Oh, you know, that's a very good point.
Yes, because I don't know if folks saw, but Pete Hegseth is out there getting very belligerent and self-righteous, blaming everyone and, you know, the witch hunt and the whole thing, sounding very
How dare I be held accountable for my actions?
Yes, that's right. How dare you? And I don't answer to any of you people. I answer to Donald Trump and he said 50 at first. 100 senators and my wife and God. And no, actually, if you're Secretary of Defense, you answer to which one? How does the first and second and the third wife that you've cheated on that's still with you? Do you answer to them? But he answers to the Constitution and to the American people. He forgot that part. That answer right there should disqualify him on top of everything else. I mean, my God. But this nomination is, that's why I have my over it shirt on today, because my sweater, because I'm over it. It's so absurd that Republicans are still defending this guy after everything that's come out about him, on top of the fact he's just not qualified. He's just not, and none of it is true. The fact that he's never run anything this large or this expansive or actually presented a budget to Congress, like you're not prepared or qualified to run the freaking Department of Defense. There's 3 million people there. Like I can't.
Not to mention, so he was in the National Guard, and after January 6th, when they were, you know, they were setting up for the inauguration, they had the National Guard in Washington, D.C.
Yep, I remember.
They actually booted him because they thought he was an extremist and a threat to the security of the inauguration, and he was kicked out
because of his tattoos that he has.
Right, which is here, and of course the New York Times their headlines are just ridiculous. His battle cry for a new Christian crusade, like what?
How about their Christian nationalist extremist tattoos that the National Guard kicked him out of doing duty at the inauguration because of it? I mean, this is the sane washing of all of this is infuriating because the American people who don't pay attention to these things as closely as we do, they see these headlines, they just read the headlines in the first graph, and that's it. If
That's
they don't, so I mean,
and take a look at these headlines. This is just from like the last few days. Okay. This was just today. Hegseth on the Hill for another day of meetings to rally support. It's been a wonderful process.
Well, that's Fox
I'm
News. We
sure
expect
it has.
that.
Like a colonoscopy for you. That signed NDA, received 6-figure severance payment after leaving veterans group. That's published today, this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's in the wake of this unbelievably well-sourced and expansive expose done by Jane Mayer of the New Yorker.
God bless.
That came out on Monday or Sunday night in time for Monday, where it just went through all these
midnight or something.
Yes, all these whistleblower report and all of these former colleagues of Pete Hegseth's, not one but two veterans organizations that he was basically booted out of for financial mismanagement and for drunken behavior and toxic workplace environment. He was drunk at events. He almost got thrown out of a strip club because he tried to get up on stage to dance with strippers. He passed out in the back of a van. Like all of these stories, if you have not read the New Yorker story by Jane Mayer, please read it. It's
I have that later
illuminating.
in this little thing I put together. And I just wanted to show here that Joni Ernst, while, there's now debate whether Pete Hegseth will make his way through to
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think there's anybody really fighting for him except for himself at this point.
Yeah.
But and Joni Ernst's name was thrown around, and obviously, I don't like her. She seems kind of cuckoo to me.
She's a pig castration lady, but she's not a MAGA psycho. I would take her, frankly.
She's like MAGA
adjacent.
Adjacent, curious. I think just goes with the flow to stay in office.
From Iowa.
So it makes sense that maybe she would be, questioning all of this.
Well, she's also a sexual assault survivor. So she served in the military. She's a sexual assault survivor.
She's qualified.
She's qualified. She's been a senator for years. She's actually qualified to be Secretary of Defense. If we're going to,
I may not agree with her, but like qualified.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd take her, and it would be the first woman female SecDef. So I mean,
let's make some, and she'd be the antidote. I mean, honestly, to this.
I hope so. I'll take her over Ron DeSantis, whose name has been floated out there, which is a whole nother mess. We can get to that in a second. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah. So to your point, Pete Hegseth's drinking worried colleagues at Fox News. Sources tell NBC. And then here's Trump mulls replacing Pete Hegseth with Ron DeSantis, which
seems kind of nuts to me.
This seems crazy. And I'm always kind of wondering like what the angle is, because they don't just appoint people to be nice or just appoint people to do the right thing. There's always some sort of like, how does this benefit me in all of this? And Susie Wiles, coming from Florida, I don't know exactly what her relationship is with him.
With DeSantis?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you.
Yeah, you go ahead.
She used to be Ron DeSantis's right hand, and they had a big falling out. That's right. And then she went to Trump world. And so that was like a lot of the Oppo research on DeSantis when he was running in the primary came from Susie Wiles. So like there is no love lost there, which is why I'm surprised that DeSantis's name was even being floated. Now, what they're saying is that the reason is because then the deal is Lara Trump gets to be senator.
Right.
So we'll give you SecDef if you appoint Lara Trump to.
And then Casey DeSantis can run for governor.
Casey DeSantis, that's correct.
Because let me tell you, y'all, Casey DeSantis is most likely going to be the next governor of Florida. Like just get it in your brains now. Because I mean, whatever. I've been calling that shit for a while. But and she's already starting to. What's that?
No, I'm saying she's very ambitious. Many people may not know that Casey DeSantis.
Fine. I mean, be ambitious, but there is a Serena Waterford type ambition with her that she's willing to sell out women. She's willing to sell out marginalized groups in order to rise to power. And I really think that she has been, responsible for Ron DeSantis's political rise because I
Oh.
mean, if you've seen the guy, he's like totally weird.
Yes, she's the brains of that operation. I hate to
Right.
say it, and
Yeah. And she's
that's
great on camera. She's,
yeah, she was
very
she was a
media
police officer,
savvy.
Jesus. She was a media person. She was like a
Right.
reporter or something on the
Yeah.
news there. So she presents well, and people
Right.
she's thinks she's Jackie O reincarnated, and so it'll be an
That was,
interesting. I
I
know it'll be
can't.
interesting to see, but that's the scuttlebutt around that,
Yeah.
which I just think would be awful. And I just don't see Trump going along with that because he's so into the visual, which is why he picked Pete Hegseth
Right.
because he looks good on camera.
Right.
Ron DeSantis looks like a meatball, even on the Ozempic, and he's like and he's like 5'7".
which
So I mean, if you're
short
going
people
for, I
got no
know, no
reason.
offense to the shorter people, but I'm
But
saying if you're talking about exuding power, like the
he doesn't
SecDef, the
own
way
it.
Trump, that's not central casting SecDef
Right.
look. So I don't know. And plus, he's whiny.
He's a
whiny. I
whiny
don't
little
want the SecDef
bitch.
whining.
He's a whiny little bitch. And listen, if we get to that point that there's any sort of confirmation hearing for these people and they actually happen and he's nominated, I think that we will start to hear more stories about his time at Guantanamo Bay overseeing some of the torture stuff.
They won't care.
And I'm so sorry, what?
No, I'm saying they won't care.
No, they won't care. I'm
No.
so sorry. I'm like having trouble hearing because this window is open and I left it open. That was very, very not a good idea. And then I think also we'll start to hear more stories about when he was a teacher at the Darlington School in Atlanta. And the stories of him partying with young students of his. This was a high school. I'm not going to get into my connection to that school or why I know any of this, but I'll just say I know things.
But again, they won't care, Michelle.
No, they probably won't.
They won't give a shit. If Ron DeSantis is nominated, he'll get through. And so, I really hope it's not him.
I hope so too. I mean, for the sake of the country and for the sake of the rest of the world, honestly. And so here it says again, these are all published just today. Trump not trying to save him. I'm not surprised. I'm sure he's probably like kind of over it by this point. He's like, he's getting more attention than I am. I don't like this.
And also some of the stuff that's come out about him, the fact that he's a drunk and that they're alleging, that is a big no-no for Donald Trump.
Right.
Folks have to remember Donald Trump does not drink. His brother, Mary Trump's father, died of alcoholism. And Donald Trump was very, that impacted him because he looked up to his brother. And then it was like, no, like, how could you let us down like this? And so he really, really, really frowns upon people who are drunks. So that I think that it's not the sexual assault. It's not that he's not qualified. It's none of those things. It's the fact that he's got a drinking problem potentially.
Right.
Pete Hegseth says no. He allegedly, they said that during his interviews yesterday, he's been up on Capitol Hill with the senators trying to save his ass. And he's like, I won't drink anymore. I promise.
Well,
okay.
Here, let me, I just want to, I'd really love to comment on that. I'm sure people watching have experienced some sort of addiction or addicts in their lives. I have personally dealt with addicts, alcoholics. I lost one good friend to alcoholism 9 years ago, as in he passed away. And another person I knew personally. And, let me just tell you about people who make promises like that, who are amidst battles. They make promises they cannot keep. They do not intend to keep. They tell lies upon lies, and then they lie about the lies. And this has been my experience, as I'm sure a lot of other people who've dealt with this. Nothing that this man is saying should be taken seriously. And I would hope that there are enough senators with enough, sense and life experience to know that. But
I think that there are, which is why this is starting to go down in flames. And once you start hearing other names being floated, you're pretty much a dead man walking, because you didn't hear, I mean, even Matt Gaetz, they weren't floating other names for attorney general before he dropped out.
Right.
So I just don't see how Hegseth can survive this, because all it takes is 3 senators. And
Yeah.
and Joni Ernst is a hard no, I'm sure. She may not be saying that, but she's potentially looking at the same job. And
Right. She's
as a
probably like, I
sexual
have some
assault,
skin in the game here.
right. And also as a sexual assault survivor in the military, I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine that she would be okay with this guy. I mean,
Right.
that's just
The
that, like,
senators are
no,
supposed right. The senators are supposed to be the grown-ups in the room.
supposed to be. You wouldn't know that.
Supposedly. But I mean, I can't imagine Lisa Murkowski. I mean, who
And
knows?
Susan Collins, I mean, they're Susan
Susan
Collins,
Collins,
like,
please.
why they haven't just come out and been like, I'm a hard no. What are you
Or
worried
just
about?
say something,
Just
like
say you're a
mean it.
hard freaking no. I
Right.
don't think that your constituents in Maine and Alaska will be upset with you for being a hard no on this freaking guy.
They
Like,
might have some
seriously?
more respect for you, actually.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. That's why like last night I was on air on MSNBC. We've been talking about this a lot, for the last week. And I keep saying, like, I cannot believe we're even having a conversation that this guy is still in consideration. Like, why? What is there to contemplate? Even if none of those other things were true, let's
Right.
just say none of them were true. He's not qualified to
Right.
run the Department of Defense and have the nuclear codes and make decisions about, like, putting our men and women in uniform into battle and and organizing
And
budgets
defense budgets, like, oh my
and
God.
contracts and things, like, it's one of the most complicated departments in the world.
And both
This
of the
guy,
both of the organizations that he was a part of too, he was also dismissed for financial
right,
mismanagement.
he was run
Like,
out.
right.
So it's like,
There's
what are we doing? It's ridiculous.
and then the
So,
mom email. Ugh.
oh my God, that's right. His mother came out and was
Right.
like, somebody leaked this email, probably one of his ex-wives, leaked to the New York Times that his mom said that he was an abuser of women. And then now his mom is on the apology tour with him.
I can't.
That's a very manly man, got his mommy out there defending him, saying, oh,
It's
well,
like
I did it
bringing your
nice. I didn't
parent
really
to
mean it. He's changed. A lot of us are different than we were
sure.
then. Like, oh my God, it's so
Sure, Jan.
embarrassing. How
It is embarrassing.
it was embarrassing when Jeb Bush trotted out Barbara Bush, who we all loved. Well, maybe you didn't, but Barbara Bush was lovely.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I have nothing against Barbara Bush.
okay, good. She was lovely, but people were like, dude, you're that desperate. You got your mom out here,
Right. It's like bringing your mom to your job interview.
Yeah, like, no, what are you
It's like
doing?
that episode of Everybody Loves Raymond when Robert's mom sends a letter ahead of it's. I can't. That's what it makes me think of.
I mean, no, we all love moms that want to defend us and stuff. That's great. But
Sure.
there's also something about a grown ass man that's in a lot of trouble, who's a womanizer and,
Yeah.
a fuck up, and having mommy come to be like, no,
Listen.
my son is wonderful. Like, no, this is the Secretary of Defense. This
Right.
isn't some corporate job, or I don't care what it is, actually. It's not okay. It's just not okay. So we'll see what's going to happen on this. He was pretty belligerent today. And like that's where the Brett Kavanaugh kind of self-righteousness reference came from, because he was very like,
I like beer. I like beer.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Kara Swisher was like, yeah, he thinks that he's Kavanaugh in the situation, but actually he's Squee.
Oh my God.
Remember him? Squee.
His calendars. He saved all those goddamn calendars. Why?
That Kavanaugh thing was, I mean, it was
the Matt
awful.
Damon impression of him on SNL was
classic.
It was
a horrible situation.
It was.
And I almost quit the Republican Party then in 2018 over that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was when people ask me kind of like, what was your journey to finally leaving?
Right.
I have like 3 main inflection points.
One of the strikes.
One of them. That was the second one after Charlottesville. First it was Charlottesville, then it was Kavanaugh, then it was shithole countries. And then the final straw, the fourth one, was the refusing to accept the election. And I said, that's it. I'm
Imagine
done.
that.
I mean, there are a lot of things. Oh, Helsinki was another one too. There was a lot of things in between, but yeah.
Joe Walsh, I remember watching that in real time, him have this epiphany, like on Twitter. He was like live tweeting himself leaving the Republicans. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Better late than never, I guess.
I mean, I never supported Trump, so I don't know. Did Joe Walsh ever support Trump?
I feel like he did. Was. I mean, I don't know how enthusiastic he was. I don't really remember, but I do remember him being on that side.
Yeah, I felt like he was.
This come to Jesus moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I love this cup right here. It says, "Do you? I'll drink this." I cannot confirm or deny what's in this cup right now. I'm just kidding. It's water. But if it does, it may be this. It may be Denver Riggleman's Silverback
I need to get
Distillery
me a bottle of
whiskey.
that. I
The
need to
honey
have Denver
whiskey.
send me one.
I know. I think he can ship it to you in New York. You got to check. I have to go and get it because you can't ship inside Virginia.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But it gives me a good excuse for my husband and I to go and visit Denver because we love him and his wife.
Exactly.
They're wonderful. Anywho, that's an aside. Yeah, Pete Hegseth. So I think that by the time we are together again, there will be no more Pete Hegseth in this battle here, because more and more things are coming out, and I don't think it's going. If you have to say it's going great, and you're the only one that's saying it's going great, it's not going great up there in Capitol Hill with the senators. I think there's a bunch of very hard no's, and so the writing will be on the wall. I think this weekend. I could be wrong. I don't know, but
yeah,
we'll see about that. Yeah. Pete Hegseth. Anyway, there's also when I started the show, right, I said that we will still not obey in advance, because I don't know what's happening right now in our mainstream media, but very disappointed and frustrated with what's going on over at the morning show at MSNBC. Michelle, you had some things to say about that earlier. I had some things to say about that on the Mary Trump show on her network that I do on Thursdays at noon. I just cannot. I have not turned on Morning Joe since they went to Mar-a-Lago. I don't give a fuck what excuse they use. It's not okay. I'm sorry. It's not.
Unless they were going to Mar-a-Lago to try to go snoop around to find more documents. Like, that is the only excuse.
Or an interview. I would have been okay if you're going to do it. It's newsworthy. Then do the interview, as long as it's not a kiss-ass interview, right?
Right. Be serious.
That's not what they went for. They're not real journalists or reporters. They're talking heads. There's a difference. So they're not reporters whose job it is to gather the facts and then report the news. That's not what they do. And so, oh my God, it's a great morning show. It's so good. That's not what they do. They did it out of fear. They did it because they thought, remember, they were buddies with Donald Trump. They were besties. They were like advisors. They
platformed him very early on and normalized him.
And it wasn't until he insulted Mika about her facelifts or some shit that they just said, okay, that's it. We're done with you. And so, for them to go crawling back and have absolutely no value, I just don't, whatever Trump's got on them, it must be pretty significant for them to risk their entire professional credibility.
Yeah.
And to go there and then yell at everyone for calling them out on their hypocrisy. It must be pretty serious. I don't know.
And the thing that really just gets me, Tara, is, first of all, I have not turned on cable news at all since the election. And I have to say, the mental health, not great considering, but I knew that watching cable news was going to make me feel 10 times worse. And so I'm not doing that. I'm being very selective about the information that I take in. That being said, there are some wonderful people at MSNBC that we love and we're friends with. And I think they're wonderful and I support them. And I'm so sorry to them that their colleagues are sucking.
I know.
Because
4 or 5 hours, it's 5 hours of that show in the morning.
It's
5 hours that they've invested in this brand.
And I'm just like, and
ratings are like this, by the way, in the tank. There you go.
Let's take a look here.
Yep.
One of the worst days in 2 decades.
Mm-hmm. Is that overall or just for their show?
So this is overall.
Which
MSNBC had one of its worst days in 2 decades. This is according to Fox
26th.
News, unfortunately. Decades last week, and the liberal network continues to struggle on the heels of President-elect Donald Trump's victory over Vice President Kamala Harris. On November 26th, MSNBC had the lowest rated non-holiday weekend among the advertiser-coveted demographic for adults aged 25 to 54 in 20 years.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, MSNBC managed only 38,000 average demo viewers, its smallest non-holiday audience among the critical viewers since July 19th, 2004.
I just want to say that on one of our debate night lives that we did, we had 24,000 live viewers.
Yeah.
Us. not a mega. We are a 2-woman operation plus Mallory now, thank God.
Yeah.
And that's it for the show. That's it. Okay. We're not a major network that's been a legacy media
17,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is, not nothing, but
no,
we're not one of those million,
no.
Subscriber things. And we
are an upstart mom and pop shop right now. And like that, and we got 24,000 live viewers. So like, that's bad. And I think it's happening across the board. CNN, I have friends at CNN and they told me they're struggling too. And what they were saying is that people just have news fatigue. You're not alone, Michelle, where people are just unplugging. They can't fucking take it. And I get it.
No.
I mean, my husband says to me all the time, like, I don't know how you still do this. I'm like, I kind of have to.
Self-preservation, really.
But I will say that I have spent at least 2 weekends in a row no cable news other than me being on air sometimes. Like I'll say yes if it works for me, but like I binge watched the Curb Your Enthusiasm final season. My husband and I caught up on Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay, like there were a couple days where I was just like, I watched Star Wars movies for the millionth time, like trilogies in a row, just to shout out to Mark Hamill. Like sometimes you've just got to unplug.
You have
to.
Do it. And it also connects you to humanity. I mean, like for me, like watching movies and things like that, it's the storytelling aspects of it. It's, you're able to experience other people's life experiences and it gives you perspective. And I think it grounds you. Go touch grass, as the kids say. But and to bring it just back to the reality of Morning Joe and Weekend Joe, that has made me so upset is that I thought on that network of anybody who had credibility and was speaking up on behalf of women more than anybody, really. I mean, and everyone was talking
about know your value, Mika.
Right. Know your value. She had women on panels in that last hour, practically in tears, talking about how much trouble we're in, how we're going to lose our freedoms, we can lose our lives, all these things, calling him a fascist, comparing him to Hitler. All true. These things are true. And then after the election, they go down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. And it makes me feel like
it wasn't even a week. It was that Friday, right?
Right.
The election happened Tuesday.
Oh, Jesus,
they were out. They were kissing his ass on Friday, for God's sakes. It wasn't even a week.
And it makes me, I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, I know.
Who are you? Are you this? Are you that?
I think they're that.
Anything you say ever again.
That's why I'll never listen to them. I don't give a damn what they're talking about. I don't care if they're talking about my New York Giants. I don't give a shit. I don't care what they're talking about. I will never take what they have to say ever again as serious, because they talk out of both sides of their mouths. And I'm sorry if that's harsh for some people, but it's the truth. They revealed who they are, and then have the audacity to lecture all of us for calling them out. Because Joe Scarborough was real pissed off. What they did to David Frum yesterday, I didn't know about this until this morning because I don't watch them. But I think you posted this, Michelle, on our chat this morning. And I was like, wait, what happened? So for those who don't know, David Frum is a longtime, well-respected, conservative, right of center speechwriter, writer, thinker. He's never been a MAGA. He wrote the Axis of Evil speech for George W. Bush. Like, he's like your typical, like, normal Republican. But he was always a never Trumper. And he finally left the Republican Party. He stayed a little longer, like a lot of us did, thinking we could maybe change it from within. He finally left on November 6th, the day after the election, because he's like, okay, that's it.
Right.
So he went on to talk about the Hegseth nomination, because he writes about foreign affairs and things as well. And he made a joke about, if you're too drunk for Fox News, like that, responding to the reports that his colleagues at Fox were saying that they were concerned about him.
Right.
And that they were like, and so he cracked a joke about it. They threw him off the set. He said that the producers came into his ear and told him, don't crack a joke like that again. Like, let's not go there again. And then they basically asked him to leave because he was supposed to be there for more than one segment. And Mika went in and apologized to Fox News for David Frum's comments. It was like, what?
And I
Are you
implore
kidding?
anyone to go Google the apology and watch it. It's so bizarre
And then
weird.
watch Joe's response after the break. He comes back and yells at the audience more about like,
I did not see that.
oh my God. Yes, there's a part 2 to that. Mika's was
Oh,
bad
geez.
enough. So David Frum, if you guys, I think it's behind
Yeah.
a paywall, but you might be able to get it. So he might have posted it somewhere else so people could see it.
Yeah.
But I encourage folks to read it. It's
Mhm.
insane that this is what's happening.
Yep.
But I want to say something though that he did say at the end.
Mm.
I think I have it from before, which I think is really, really important to remember because it can be depressing to see so many of these people
It's
just
right
bend
here.
the knee.
I have it on
Yes, he
screen.
said, I did not write to scold anyone. I write because fear is infectious. Let it spread and it will paralyze us all. The only antidote is courage, and that's infectious too. I
Mhm.
thought those were very powerful words. I think that's
Mhm.
a mantra that we can all live by. That is the part 2 of we will not obey in advance.
Yep.
And that courage is the antidote. And that is infectious. The more people who stand up and say no, the more people who say, fuck you, we're not doing
Mhm.
this. You're not going to, or you're going to have to go through us first. The more we build community around that, we're not just that. I think that that is infectious. And that's what we are doing here at the Seneca Project as we continue to build our army of Amazons, as I say, and people who want to come along with us so that we can have the war chest to fight this.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way we're going to do it. It's going to take people like us speaking out and saying not no, but hell no, and let that courage and that bravery be infectious. Because somebody's got to do it. Because Joe and Mika sure as hell aren't.
No, they're not. And you know, obviously, I'm still not watching, but I do catch a lot of just clips and things of what's happened.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pull this because of what had happened in South Korea this past week.
Which is something else, like feels like that was two months ago. It just happened on Tuesday. There was like a coup attempt, martial law or some shit going on in South Korea. And then it wasn't. It was.
Right. And then there wasn't, because the people, the citizens rose up, showed up, at one point was helping the legislators scale the side of the building to get in to vote against this.
Yeah. So what happened in South Korea, if people missed it, I don't blame you because it happened in a matter of like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it was during the day here for us. But in Asia, in South Korea, it was overnight. So a lot of their own citizens slept through it. One of our team members, his mom lives in Seoul, and was like, I've been trying to reach my mom, but I think she's sleeping because it's 2:00 in the morning there.
Right.
So I was like, well, she slept right through martial law. The president of South Korea, which is a democracy in that region. Let's just be clear here. This isn't Thailand where they like have a junta. Well, they don't call them juntas there. They call them, well, I guess they're coups there. Juntas are in South America. But Thailand has like a different government every 3 years. They overthrow, the military comes in, they overthrow like every 3 years. And the Thai people are the nicest people. I don't understand why they can't get it together. But anyway, that doesn't happen in South Korea. South Korea is like a shining jewel of democracy, allegedly, there. And next thing we know, everybody was caught off guard. The US, everybody was like, what the fuck? What? Martial law was declared by the president. The National Assembly, which is like their Congress, they went, what? No. So they have the ability to overturn, like to veto the martial law. So they had to get to their National Assembly building and vote to do it. And that's what Michelle was talking about, that people helped them. Because the army was trying to stop them. There were arrest orders sent out for the opposition party leaders to prevent them from gathering so that they could vote down this martial law. It was insane. But it was January 6th in reverse. The good guys won here. The good guys won. And they reversed it, and now they're going to impeach that freaking guy because they should. Like, what the hell? Unlike our country, well, we elected the guy again.
And it's crazy. Well, Chris Hayes says here, and this is why I pulled it. He said the last bulwark of democracy is the people themselves, and I think that this is something. When I read that today, I kind of had this light bulb because I've been feeling despondent, like a lot of people have, and I'm like, how the hell am we gonna get through this?
I know.
Like,
I vacillate with it all the time.
The F. Like, I'm like, I can't, like, how? You know what I mean? Well, we've marched, we've done all the things. Like, how are we gonna do this again? And then I was just like, oh wait, it's us.
That's right.
It's us. And
what do I always say?
That they have the people, then it's over.
That's right. What do I always say? Democracy doesn't defend itself.
Right.
So, Trump didn't win by as much as everybody thought. As
Mhm.
as they continue to tabulate the numbers, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower, which gives me some hope that it wasn't this overwhelming mandate. And the House of Representatives, there's it's like one or two that Republicans have,
Yeah.
for their majority. So that is not a mandate. Okay. When I first got into politics in the 90s, Republicans had like 63 seats. Okay. It was a
Mhm.
huge, that's a mandate. This squeaking by is not a mandate. Okay. So this is good. This means that in the states and in down ballot, that people are rejecting MAGA and
Mhm.
it's within reach. It's still within reach.
Yep.
So we've got to
Exactly.
stay steadfast. It's still within reach. It's just a matter of
Exactly.
how we navigate the federal side of things in the meantime.
And one of the things I wanted to bring up too is that, I'm admittedly, full disclosure, I'm not an expert at all of South Korea's history. However, they have had the people that are alive now participating in their democracy have been through a lot in the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that is this massacre that happened in 1980. And they really had to fight for what they have. It's very near in their memory.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very quick to mobilize.
Yes.
To defend it. And I think that that's kind of what separates us is the distance between the generations participating in democracy in the most, maybe
100%.
intense ways.
100%.
And like the last generation that had to cross oceans to defend democracy in a world conflict are
Mm-hmm.
dying off. I mean, there are very few left.
Yeah.
Both of
That's
my
right.
grandfathers are long gone.
Yeah, my
And
grandfather's gone too.
right.
And
And
that's
so
the
they
last
say,
generation, really.
right, then history unfortunately repeats itself every 100 years. They say because the last person to experience these things firsthand are no longer there to tell the story. And so therefore, then it just becomes a page in a history book. And it's harder to connect with.
Unless you live in Florida where that history is banned.
Right.
Depends on what history books nowadays, since they are banning books and changing history. So people don't know what the real history is. And
Right.
that's scary too. It's very
Right.
like V for Vendetta.
And there's a quote here from someone who lives in South Korea, and quoted in the Washington Post here. It says, "We've lost far too many people because of past martial laws." And he rushed to the National Assembly building after hearing the news of what was happening and said, "I had to come out here to prevent history from repeating itself." Sorry, she said, not he.
Mm-hmm.
Just incredible stuff.
Yes.
It's incredible how, and there's another quote here. "I believe Korean democracy will come out stronger after this."
But what it said before that was, it said Korean democracy was democracy was not given to the Korean people. It was hard fought and won.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing. I mean, I know that Ronald Reagan isn't everybody's favorite president here, but since I made you watch the Reagan speech and the Time for Choosing speech and you liked it,
right.
He talks about in one of his speeches when he was president about how democracy isn't, you have to preserve it. It's one generation away from losing it.
That's right.
And, and we're at that crossroads, I think.
We're like one election. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what it feels. It's so close and imminent that, again, like, that's why we can't take days off.
That's right.
It's staggered breathing approach.
Yes.
Like, take a break if you have to. The person next to you will pick up the baton. But together as a whole, we have to be ready, because the second that we get despondent and say, okay, well,
or worn out or fatigued or despondent, in despair, giving up. That's what they're counting on.
Right.
That's like part of their strategy.
Right.
That's why the fire hose of fuckery happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's to wear people down.
Yep.
And we can't because the person who's more,
or other countries around the world, like, holding their officials accountable is just really something to behold.
We were watching, my husband and I were watching something. I can't remember what we were watching, but there was a quote where it was the more committed wins. The side that's more committed wins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, people have to
Yeah.
decide who's more, or what are you more committed to?
Right. And
Welcome
we're
to
about to
Pod
see some really weird shit. Like,
Yes.
let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to
Yeah.
be like okay all the time.
No,
It
it's
might
gonna
not be okay most of the time.
It's going to
And
be
we're going
so
to see
much
some
worse.
really weird shit.
So much worse than the first time.
Yeah. And I say that with, obviously we're living in a digital age where we have access to information and we have access to be able to put information out into the world in a different way than, our grandparents could. And for that reason, I say, get a journal, write all this stuff down, because someday somebody's going to ask you, what was it like to live through this? And winners, unfortunately, write the history books, and we cannot let them dictate any part of this history.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. That's a good Christmas gift, folks. Get yourself a journal, or get the people, in your life that are interested in what's happening, a journal. Journaling's good anyway. It's a good exercise anyway, but that's actually a really, really good advice, Michelle.
So much of what I've learned about my family is from family journals from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. Like, I mean, and it's just mundane stuff like, oh, went to the store, bought some grain. But still, they went to a store and bought context of like what was going on in the world, like how people communicated or how people used transportation. I mean, that's how I know the story about my great grandmother being a suffragist, is from these journals. And so I journaled through COVID, writing some things down because I just was like, no one will believe this. But I just think it's important, to the digital stuff, this stuff, God forbid.
It's controlled by other people, This
is yours. It's tangible. And you can
right.
hand it to someone else.
That's right. Or bury it in your backyard in case the stormtroopers come and try to take all of our books.
For real.
Oh my God, it's so dystopian. One of my friends was saying that it feels very dystopian. And because it is. It is, I had a meeting today with someone who was born in Australia. And he was saying to me, like, it's so surreal. He lives in the UK now. He goes, it's so surreal to watch what's happening to the US. It's just like, it's surreal from an outsider's perspective. Like, this can't be happening in the United States. And I'm like, how do you think we feel?
Right.
How do you think we feel? I'm like, at least you have safe refuge over there. Jeez. But it is pretty surreal. And as we continue to watch the Republican Party just completely embarrass themselves and turn into this just Praetorian Guard. Yeah, clown show, Praetorian Guard for Donald Trump's fascist bullshit. It's just like today they voted down releasing the Matt Gaetz report, the ethics report.
Leak that shit.
Oh, it's going to get
somebody
leaked.
Who's like didn't get reelected is out in a couple weeks. Leak that shit.
They're going to get it. We are going to see that.
One
thing I know, living in the DC area for 30 years, is that shit leaks. Okay.
Oh, yeah. There's some secrets that are strangely kept, and I don't understand that. But
not something like this. Matt Gaetz is one of the most hated people ever in the history of politics in this town. Exactly. That shit's going to leak. I'm telling you right now. They don't ever want him working in this town again. And they don't want him running for governor in Florida either. So my money is in, we'll see it. Somebody's going to leak that shit. What other horrible things are going on? Oh, I think it's important. I think it's important for people to know what's happening. I know. Well, there's so many. It's like, where do
Merry Christmas.
I know. It's a holly jolly Christmas. Oh my God. I have so many like snarky Christmas shirts to wear this year that involve alcohol.
Listen, YOLO. Wear them.
Listen, find your joy. Seriously,
that's right.
Find your joy.
Exactly. I bought myself a pair of knee-high sequin boots the other day.
Yes.
I don't know where to wear them. No, I'm not. But maybe I'll just wear them to dinner.
I think you should wear them for the Christmas party.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I will.
What color are they?
Black.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I don't own anything like this. I don't go out anymore.
I haven't even stepped foot outside. I've been working all day. My husband was like, what did you bring the such and such in from the truck? I was like, I haven't set foot outside. First of all, it's too fucking cold. Okay, it's freezing.
30
You were
degrees
bundled up.
today.
It's cold in New York and it's cold down here in the DC area. It
Awful.
was windy, it was cold. I'm like,
Yeah.
and sunny, but cold. We haven't finished
Cold
putting up our
AF.
Christmas lights outside because it's been too damn cold all week. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I didn't even go outside. Like
You didn't
I'm
miss
not-
much.
No, but I'll be outside this weekend. We have to go get our tree tomorrow. We're gonna chop our tree down this year. This time
That's
we're gonna go
fun.
chop it from the Christmas tree farm down next town over. So hopefully the tree's big enough because we like a 12
You got those high ceilings too.
yeah. We like a good 12-foot tree, nothing shorter than that. So if
Yeah.
not, then we always have our backup plan for our other place that we get our trees from. But anyway, that's when I'll go outside because this is all turning the house over to be our Christmas wonderland because there is so much horrible things going on
Mhm.
that we need to find joy and solace in our things that bring us joy that we still
It's
can
so
control. You need to have balance. We have to. If you like to sing Christmas carols, do that. If you like to wear ugly sweaters, do that. You know,
I
whatever.
painted my whole bedroom the week before, right before Thanksgiving, because I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna paint.
Michelle was like a general contractor in her house, moving furniture and shit, painting ceilings.
I
We
was
just
all
have
by
to do it.
myself.
Yes,
All
all
by
by
myself.
herself. Because her
And
husband.
10-foot ceilings. I'm 5 feet tall, so just do the
Yep.
math there.
Yep.
What
'Cause
kind
her
of ladder I was putting my ass on? I mean, danger.
Well, yeah, but we have to tell people why. Because your husband went and won a tournament.
Oh, so okay. So
We'll do an
people who-
aside. We'll stop talking about horrible things now because I want
Yeah,
to talk
I mean,
about how
whatever.
more women are dying from horrible abortion laws and
Yeah,
that
we'll get to that
travel
next.
bans. But like, I don't want to end on that, so I'm just going to say that part now, and then we're going to talk about funny things, happy things. Yes, still horrible things happening to women. Women are still dying because of abortion laws that are draconian, and Idaho can now enforce the ban on interstate abortion travel. So, like, if you are helping someone leave to go get reproductive care, you can be prosecuted, just like in Texas. They're doing the same thing. So,
How is
yeah,
this freedom?
thank you. Yeah, thanks.
How is this states' rights when you don't have? I mean, for all the screaming of states' rights, like how do you get to impose your laws in another? And how is this freedom?
It's not.
How?
It's not. It's control.
Right.
It's draconian, and it's not even science-based. It's insane. And so we need to keep staying vigilant on this stuff. And this is where being active and involved in your states and state and local government, first line of defense, as Michelle always points out. And Virginia has state elections next year. So does New Jersey. Yep. And I believe Louisiana has things going on. So we will be talking more about that and paying more attention and in preparation for midterms, because they primary start. Next thing you know, it's going to happen. People don't realize that. So that's part of what we will be doing with Seneca Project going into next year, which is why we hope you guys continue to support us, because we need the war chest to do it. Because nobody else is doing it the way we do. We tell it straight. We don't play it safe like some other folks do. And that's what we need now. You need fighters, and we fight fire with fire. And don't become what the other side despises. We're just tough broads.
It's true. and I would love to show. I have a video here of Jessica Valenti. Yeah, we've talked about her on the show before. She is a wealth of knowledge. She has a book out. I actually just bought. I haven't started reading yet, but she is Reproductive Rights Information Center. Go follow her on all the platforms.
Yep. Incredible newsletter. It's really informative.
I always learn something from her.
Me too.
And I have like an oh shit moment, like, oh my God, I didn't know that was happening. And for that reason, I'm going to play this about, the Republicans are very crafty with messaging and
always
made up words that aren't a thing, to get people riled up and to make them seem authoritative and factual, when really what they're doing is just curtailing rights for women or other groups of people, right under our noses. And we don't realize that it's happening. So I'll just play this right now.
A made-up anti-abortion term, and so they'll say things like, if someone has a miscarriage, I really need people to understand that this is coming. This is happening. They have already started working towards eradicating abortion ban exceptions for women's lives. And I do not say that to scare people. I'm not trying to be clickbaity with the headline. I'm pretty good at political predictions when it comes to abortion rights. I've gotten a lot of stuff right at the newsletter. I do not say that to pat myself on the back. I just say it to contextualize and let people know, like, I feel like I can see this coming, and I want to make sure that other people do too. I get into it in detail and take you through step by step at the newsletter how they've already started to lay the groundwork and what comes next. But the short version is they started by redefining abortion in legislation, and they're redefining it as an intention rather than a medical intervention, meaning they're saying things like treatment for ectopic pregnancies are not really abortions, treatment for miscarriages are not really abortions, and it's a way for them to try to divorce abortion from healthcare. The other thing they're doing at the same time is inserting language about maternal fetal separation, which is not a real medical term. That is a made-up anti-abortion term. And so they'll say things like, if someone has a miscarriage or if someone's life is at risk, they can be given a maternal fetal separation. Some people have said to me, well, what does it matter what they call it so long as women are getting the treatment that they need? The issue is that they have also started to define what maternal fetal separation is, and it is not a standard abortion procedure. They are talking about C-sections or induced vaginal birth. In other words, they want to force women with non-viable or life-threatening pregnancies into major abdominal surgeries, into traumatic vaginal labor, rather than give them a 10-minute abortion. At the same time that Republicans are redefining abortion and adding in this language about maternal fetal separation, anti-abortion activists and groups are putting out research, it's not real research, putting out papers that say abortion is never medically necessary, and that it's not medically necessary even when someone's life is at risk, because you can just give them a maternal fetal separation, aka you can just give them a C-section. And so what we're going to see happen next is that some state, there will be a test case, will pass a total abortion ban with no exceptions. And they'll say, we don't need exceptions because abortion is never necessary to save someone's life. They can just get a C-section or be induced, and those things are not illegal. And again, I get into detail at the newsletter about what they've already done, what they're going to do next, what kind of language and tactics they're going to use. Please read and share it. I think it's incredibly important. They think that they're going to be able to do this without anyone noticing. That's what they're counting on, right? They think that if they take this slow, methodical, chipping away approach, that people won't notice.
And that is why it is so important to stay plugged in whatever way you can, because the bad guys and the bad gals trying to ruin this country and take your rights away from you do not take a day off.
That's right. They never stop. Pay attention, as my grandfather would always say to me. Yeah.
I would love to take a couple questions. I said online earlier that maybe we would take a couple, so I don't want to be a liar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll take a couple, and then we'll end the
take
show
a couple, and then we'll
talk about Joe.
And then we'll go.
Yeah, because I want to make sure people know, because it's very cool.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, we're here.
Yeah.
Or just comments. Mallory, I don't know if you're
monitoring. Yeah. Well, in the meantime, while that's happening, people were asking about, because we've been talking about not obeying in advance. And so we have Seneca Project branded "Will Not Obey in Advance" t-shirts. So if you're looking for cool Christmas gifts, we have it in purple, we have it in white. We also have sweatshirts that say that "Will Not Obey in Advance," and mugs. So if you go to senecaproject.us, go to the shop link on our website, it's all there. All the new merch is there. And so I think it's a cool gift. We're working on trying to get it on a hat, but right now we have it on shirts, sweatshirts, and mugs. So "Will Not Obey in Advance." Mine is on order. It's on its way. So, and if you have any Seneca merch, please, we'd love to see you post it, tag us. We'll give you a shout out. We'll show it on the show. Lots of people have bought merch from us, and we think that's really cool. And we appreciate that support, because it goes to helping us run things here. So that's that. Okay. Speak on the pardon. Oh, okay. Yes. We can talk about that. Because I know that today in the news, there's talk about the Biden administration doing preemptive pardons for folks, which I think would be a good idea. Freaking do it. If it's legally sound, freaking do it. There is no question in my mind that Donald Trump will seek retribution against lots of people who don't deserve it, from Adam Schiff all the way down to Olivia Troy, who is, a former Mike Pence National Security Council staffer, who's been very outspoken and was really supportive of Kamala. She was warning people about the insane, crazy shit she saw. And she has been sued now by Kash Patel for defamation because she was warning people about her experience with him when he was working, when Trump installed him on the National Security Council, and what a menace he was, and how unqualified and what a crazy person he is. And she got a defamation lawsuit letter threatening her. And thankfully, she has whistleblower attorneys and protection for that. She was on the news today saying, like, I'm not going to not say what I know to be true, because defamation that's not what defamation is. And so, but they're trying to intimidate. So, you know,
and drown in legal fees.
That's right. And drown people in legal fees. So there's great organizations out there that support whistleblowers and pro bono and support them. You know, Whistleblower Aid is one of them. They're fantastic. So there's that. Now, why are pardons the word of the week? Well, Joe Biden pardoned Hunter over the weekend, and people flipped out. Some, well, we already know what the right was going to do, but some Democrats got very upset. Some people in the Never Trump world got very upset that were like, oh, Joe Biden went back on his word and he broke a norm. And what kind of message does this send? Look, I'm sorry. I have no problem with Joe Biden doing this at all. Okay, I understand that he made a promise and said he wouldn't do it in 2023, and I believe he meant it at the time. But things have changed. Donald Trump fucking won. And I'm sorry, but if you have the ability to pardon your son from being persecuted and sent to prison for God knows how many years for something that most normal average people would never have been charged with in the freaking first place, you're going to do it. And so, look, I understand the purists, and I believe me, I'm the first person to talk about the importance of democratic norms. However, you're not scoring any brownie points for these things. Donald Trump, that people are saying, oh, it gives Donald Trump a license to now go and pardon horrible people. He already did that. He's going to pardon the January 6th bastards already. We know this. So you know what? Fuck that shit. All right. You need to do the right thing and protect people. I understand the argument about it's preferential treatment because Hunter did things wrong and blah, blah, blah. And listen, no one is trying to say he shouldn't take, that's right. He's got problems. And has he benefited from being Joe Biden's son? Absolutely. Does he deserve all of this? I mean, the guy's had his dick on display in Congress. Okay. You can't get any more humiliated than what they've done to Hunter Biden, who suffered from addiction. So like enough is enough is enough. Like enough. And if this is what Democrats are upset about, I mean, Jesus, come on.
Joe Biden, who is what,
81, I think now.
81 now?
82.
Lost one child in a car accident.
Right.
Lost another child to brain cancer. You know, he's got two left, and one of them is on the brink with addiction and all kinds of other problems. I get it. And also, the second I'm sure that Kash Patel was, nominated to be the next FBI director, I'm sure he was like, all right, that's it. Because that guy is a true believer. He is an absolute sycophant for Donald Trump.
Bootlicker.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And listen, Hunter Biden would spend the rest of his life being hunted by these people.
They still said they're going to investigate him in Congress today. They're still, despite the blanket pardon. I mean, these people are insane. How is this serving the American people? How is this lowering the price of eggs? It's not. It's such bullshit. And so all of these people, these good folks like Alexander Vindman and whistleblowers who spoke out against it, all of those former General Milley and John Kelly and John Bolton, for God's sakes, even. I mean, I'm no fan of his, but like these people don't deserve what Donald Trump wants to do to them because they
love their country.
That's right. So this is bullshit. It's crazy that we're even having to talk about this, but sometimes, I mean, these
are not normal times.
They're not normal. There's nothing normal about it.
They don't play by the rules.
They don't. And the normal outrage doesn't freaking apply. It doesn't apply here. Like Democrats, stop it. This is what you do. Eat your own. It's infuriating. Stop holding Joe Biden to a different standard. Okay.
They do this shit over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, you're losing good people. Why are you doing this? Like, it's so embarrassing. Like there is such a lack of fight in the Democratic Party. And I'm sure people will come for me and be like, leave Democrats alone. They're good. Okay, yes, they're the better guys. I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat for over 20 years. But the lack of fighter, I'm talking about, like, don't bring a butter knife to a gunfight. It is infuriating to watch. And all I beg for, really, is for some sound leadership and some messaging that kind of is in sync and everyone's in lockstep with each other and on the same frickin' team.
In a good way.
In a good
Lockstep
way.
in a good way.
In a good way.
Not like the way Republicans do, okay?
Right.
I mean, you can learn the principle of it, but
Right.
they're lockstep for wrong shit, okay?
Right.
Be lockstep for the right shit. How about
Right.
that?
For saving our democracy
Jeez.
and not handing our country over to an authoritarian and oligarchs, because
Mhm.
that ain't right.
Because that's what's happening. That's what's
Jasmine
happening.
Crockett,
Love
God
her.
bless you.
It's my girl. I love her.
Love you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being someone who speaks out.
Breath of fresh air, man. She doesn't back down.
Nope.
She's unapologetically a truth teller, and that's what people are craving for.
Yes.
That's what they need. That's what we
Enough
need.
with the pleasantries.
I'm
Enough.
saying, I mean, look, again, there's a fine line. You never want to become what you despise. But what you do is you weaponize what they do back against them.
That's right.
In to your advantage. That's how you win an asymmetrical war. And that's what we're in. That's how you win. So that's what I think about that. I went off. If people want to see me really go off about this, I was on with Don Lemon on Tuesday about it, and over on Don Lemon's streaming show there on Tuesday, I was pretty animated about it because I just can't. I just cannot. Yeah. I'm over it. Okay, let's do another one.
Love Jasmine.
Somebody said, do we think Hunter's appendage intimidated them? Nah, little mushroom man's jealous.
Did you see that there was a story about Hunter Biden that one of the he was with this girl on and off. She worked at a strip club in New York. There was like a story about it, and it was like, oh, he broke up with me over an email. I was like, what?
Oh,
and it was like a story.
Who cares?
Anyways, I know someone who worked at that strip club.
Oh, I know. It's like,
and at the same time, she's like, oh yeah, I know that girl.
Was it a gentleman's club?
Yes.
Because in New York, they're gentlemen's clubs.
Yes. It was Vivid. It was Vivid.
Yeah.
It's in Midtown.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that play professional sports, so sometimes we get dragged there.
Yeah.
Anyway, in a past life. Let's see what else. I have no patience for the Hunter thing. A lot of people struggle with addiction, and it's just not okay to exploit and demagogue what he went through. I don't care who he is, that he's the son of a powerful man. It still was addiction, and it was a problem, and it was
people are not themselves.
No, and Donald Trump has no idea what that type of unconditional love is like because he never got it and he doesn't give it, so he doesn't have any idea what that's like. And Joe and Jill Biden are just trying to love their son through a horrible time and be good parents. So I don't.
I'm seeing here Jamie Raskin, Sheldon Whitehouse, Jasmine, and AOC. Yes, and I think that a big, was it the judiciary, Nadler?
Yes. They're getting him out.
Ousted, and Jamie Raskin's going to take over. Which,
thank God.
Listen, I used to be vice president of Jerry Nadler's club here in New York. He's a nice guy. He's very smart. He's been a public servant for a very long time. However,
it's time.
It's time.
Time to go.
Time to go.
The time has passed him by. It's time to pass the baton. Jamie Raskin will be a great representative on that committee, and he doesn't take any shit. And I like Jamie Raskin, and he's another tough guy who lost a son and beat cancer. So Jamie Raskin's been through it also. And so, his passion and knowledge of the Constitution and democracy and understanding what loss is like is, again, an asset. So we like that. And, you've got the Oversight Committee, too, which is another place where Democrats can fight back. And we like that, you've got Dan Goldman. He's another good one over there. There's a good crop of younger, up-and-coming Democrats.
The senators, the younger Gen X senators, love them, too, on our side.
There's some Murphy. I'm a Gen Xer and we're the forgotten generation, but we've screwed a lot of things up.
Brian Schatz, they're all great.
Yeah, we've got some good senators over there. So we'll see what happens, and a more diverse Senate as well. So I think we should take one more and then we'll close the show.
Love Moskowitz.
Yes.
He's great. So funny. I'm like Twitter friends with one of his staffers.
But he was doing something weird recently with crypto or something, Moskowitz.
No.
Yeah. I'm like, no, don't go down the crypto bro road, dude. I like you and his funky suits. And he's snarky, but I don't know. What else could Biden do before he leaves office to Trump-proof the institutions? Smarter people than us. I think the pardon thing is really a big one. That's because that's a constitutional power that's given to the president that he can do, and as long as there's some issue about preemptive pardons, but they Ford preemptively pardoned Nixon, so there is some precedent for this. But that's up to the constitutional scholars. So that's as much as I know about that.
Yeah.
Trump-proofing institutions, it's hard to do because the president has a lot of power over the executive branch. The senators are the only ones that can really push back on some of the things, like his nominees, because it's their job to advise and consent. It's not their job to just pledge fealty and usher anyone in. The idea was to stop a president from installing idiots and cronies and corrupt people. That's why the founders, they did it this way, to give that power to the Senate for checks and balances. So
to the limits.
Yes.
To the limits.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that the Democrats have the stomach at least to push the envelope, because whatever, as Michelle often says, lack of imagination can be a killer.
Dangerous thing.
That's right. Okay, we'll take one more because that wasn't a great one. For me, because I didn't really have a full answer. Do you think Trump will find a way to stop the case in Georgia, even though it's a state case? Yes.
1,000%.
1,000%. That case got screwed up because of Fani Willis. I'm sorry, but she screwed that whole thing up. And it's too bad, because that RICO case had a lot and people were pleading out and they didn't want anything to do with it. And she screwed it up, unfortunately. And I also think that the New York case will probably get thrown out too. Yeah, it's too bad. But it happens. So I think nobody's fault but hers.
All the cases are going to go away.
They're all going to go away. Yeah. There's nothing. They're all going to go away. They're all intimidated. Alvin Bragg and Letitia James and those folks. Again, you don't think Trump's going to go after them? Of course they will.
I know. I'm nervous for Tish James. She is a fighter, though. She is a fighter, and listen, I'm a big fan. She was our public advocate here in New York. I've met her many, many times, and she is a powerhouse, and she's a fighter. And if anybody can fight back against this guy, it's her. So
yes, we've been talking about Mayor Adams, your favorite mayor, Michelle. I think he's kissing ass trying to get a pardon from Trump. I'm telling you. Mark our words. Mark our words. What's my
words? There's so many things. I don't know where to start there because I hate Eric Adams.
I know. He's the worst.
He's going to get pardoned, probably.
Yeah.
And my friend actually made a joke. It's like, what if he becomes the ambassador to Turkey?
Look, if Charles Kushner can be the ambassador to France,
right.
Okay. Jared Kushner's pardoned criminal father, who hired a prostitute to set up his brother-in-law and film it and to intimidate a witness, and then sent the film to his sister. He's a horrible fucking person. He served 2 years in prison. Just ask Chris Christie how he feels about that. He was pardoned. He's a billionaire. Oh, and now he's got the cushy job of being named the ambassador to France.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
But everybody's all, spun up about Joe Biden pardoning Hunter. It's ridiculous. Okay. And Peter Navarro, another criminal, Navarro he's getting some kind of position.
He's got some job.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. So I don't want to hear shit about Joe Biden and the freaking pardon of
Steve Bannon's probably going to have a job in the White House. I cannot. Michael Flynn. They all are.
I know. I cannot. So
Roger Stone, they all have the little pardon things. There's a picture of them showing them off.
I can't.
But yeah, talk about off years too. I mean, again, your local government, your local elections, state and local elections are your first line of defense. Do I feel terribly confident that Kathy Hochul is my governor right now? No, I do not. Yeah. And then next year is our mayor's election, and Andrew Cuomo is going to run for mayor.
Oh my God.
And he might win. He legitimately could win. So,
local, all politics are local, folks. All politics are local. There's a reason that axiom still applies. Pay attention. Well, as we close, I think that we'll probably get one more show in before Christmas. Just follow us and like and subscribe. You'll get alerted. It depends on how things go, but I think I'd like to get one more in because there's so much going on.
I
So
know.
this way we
Hard to
can
keep up with.
end the year on a happy note. But Michelle was by herself last weekend painting her apartment because her husband is a backgammon badass and won a major tournament. And
It's
listen, awesome.
I tell people this and they're like, what? That's a thing? My husband is an attorney. Okay. He does banking regulatory law, Dodd-Frank, that kind of stuff. And in his spare time, he has become one of the best backgammon players in the world. He won a major tournament last week. He is now ranked. There's a couple of different rating systems. He is ranked second in the world.
In the world. In the world. Not like in New York, not like in the Upper East Side or West Side. No. In the world, which is so cool because we love Joe. Michelle's husband is the coolest. And not only can he play backgammon, he's an awesome karaoke leader and the life of the party. So
which I have a video I'm going to send you. He had at the office party yesterday. He sang karaoke and
I can't wait. Send it. Please send it. It brings me joy. It brings me joy.
It does. So my husband is one of the best backgammon players in the world. He does it in his spare time. He loves it. If you've seen like the Queen's Gambit and like how she travels around for chess tournaments, it's like that backgammon. But obviously, if you know the game, which I don't really because I refuse to learn, I do know that the dice gives a chance. So it's skill and strategy, and there's a certain amount of it that's left up to chance with the dice. So. Anyways, he's become very, very good at it.
We love it. My mom and I have been playing backgammon since I was a little wee tiny Tara down the shore on the beach as a kid. My mom and I played backgammon, and when we found out that your husband was a big backgammon enthusiast, like my mom and Michelle's husband have had when they were visiting, they had private lessons. Like they were geeking out over backgammon.
But next time we come, I'll have Joe bring the board.
Geek out over backgammon, and we love this, and so we're thrilled. And whenever he's in those major tournaments, Michelle sends me the link because they're on YouTube, and we watch them, whether it's on my phone or last time when we saw him watch the big one, it was on our big screen TV because it was last Sunday and the Giants suck. So I turned the damn game off and watched Joe win the tournament on our big screen. We love it.
Yeah. So funny. It's just such a random thing, but no, we're very proud of Joe.
Yes. So there you go. We end on a happy note. We find joy. That's our thing. Find joy in the little things, and that will keep us. Build courage and get us prepared because courage is infectious. So we will see you guys probably in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yep. Follow us on Blue Sky. Find us on Blue Sky.
Yes. And go get your "We Will Not Obey in Advance" shirt. Will not obey in advance.
Exactly.
It'll be a good gift.
All right, everyone. See you next time.